All right, let's talk about the Neoproterozoic, the newest part of the Proterozoic. Okay, so getting into this last bit from about 1 billion years ago to about 541 million years ago, we see kind of the completion, at least, of these orogenetic events occurring. If we look at that cross-section, you can start to see the cause of the mid-continental rift, some sort of magma chamber below pushed up or was able to move up into the crust as the crust was being pulled apart, tensional forces pulling it apart, creating that rift, giving a smooth path for magma to make its way up. Okay, but so one of the biggest geologic kind of events of the Neoproterozoic was sediment deposition, and in a couple of major areas, kind of the eastern U.S. and Canada, but also the Death Valley region of Nevada and California, as well as 3 other huge basins in the west. So we have the Belt Basin, the Uinta Basin, and the Apache Basin down here. Okay, come on. So these sedimentary rocks are very well exposed in the Rocky Mountains, up in Montana, as well as all the way up into Alberta, Canada, all the way down to us down here in Arizona. Beautiful colors, cool deformational features like folds that we might see in these things, or faults, erosional structures caused by glaciers and as well as other weathering processes. And they've really worked to create some great scenery in these mountains that were created during the Neoproterozoic. Like the Paleo, the older part of the Proterozoic, in the Great Lakes region, they are mostly sandstone shales and stromatolite-bearing carbonates like limestone, even in the Neoproterozoic. So here is evidence of sedimentation deposition in the Belt Basin of Glacier National Park. So Belt Basin's up here. Glacier National Park is right over in this area here. So you see these thinly laminated sedimentary rocks due to sediment deposition in this large basin. This is the Uinta mountain groups in northern Utah. I'm covering it again in this area. So some beautiful layered sedimentary rocks here. And then, of course, some of the best Neoproterozoic rocks in the world, some Neoproterozoic Sandstone in the Grand Canyon. It's part of the Grand Canyon supergroup that was deposited in this Apache Basin. So the stuff's a little bit older, kind of more further down. Let me move me back. Come on now. Okay. Proterozoic rocks of the Grand Canyon supergroup. If you remember, these are the sedimentary rocks lowest down in the Grand Canyon, right above some metamorphic rocks. So these rocks lie unconformably, meaning there's an unconformity below them, upon Archean rocks, and in turn, those Proterozoic rocks are overlain by unconformably Phanerozoic aged rocks. So a lot of information, as well as a lot of missing information. So in these areas of sediment deposition that would eventually turn to rock, you have sediment that eventually creates sandstone shales and dolostones, which is a cousin of limestone, indicating that these were shallow water depositions and fluvial environments brought by flowing water. Oops. We also find stromatolites in these rock groups, so the presence of stromatolites and other impressions of algae again further indicate probable marine deposition just off the edges of dry land. So down in Arizona, where we had the Apache sedimentation, so you're getting a lot of weathering and erosion being dumped off this area into what's known as the Apache Basin, just kind of getting dumped off from here due to weathering and erosion. So let's go ahead and pause here. So that kind of is a very high-level look at the geology of the Proterozoic, just in general. So when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about these things called supercontinents. See you back here in just a second.